April. April.
We could do May real quick and go home.
That'd be awesome. Carl Day, I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay, now public comments.
Anybody got something to say?
Sure.
I am Susie Dominic, Elmo. I'm glad that we're having the meeting tonight. I went to the meeting that was at the city council last week, and I believe most of the people that are here were there. And I really appreciate the board members and the council people having questions on that draft resolution that did come up before the library board several weeks ago. I still think that there are some real holes in this negotiation, and I think that we can do a better job of being responsive and respectful to the residents of the city than it was presented to us several weeks ago. So I'm anxious to see what happened after that last meeting and where we go forward from here. Because it's the library board's decision to make a recommendation, and if you don't feel comfortable making recommendations because of state statute or so on, this is a wonderful time to bring that up. And I'm just gonna sit in the meeting and listen and hopefully learn some more things tonight, a continuation of last week's meeting.
Thank you. Yep. Is that just waving?
Just waving, yeah.
All right.
That's Larry.
Larry. Okay, with no further public comment, director's report.
Okay. Are there any questions for my director's report? If not, there are a few additional things I'd like to add. One, we are in the process of putting together our first exhibit in our hallway together. That should be going up in the next couple days. And Shelley should have a press release, Judy, for you to make the rounds with. So,
Okay, sure.
is a collection of carved birds that are going to be making their way to an archive in Canada, but this will be their last American stop. And I think they're gonna be pretty cool, so that'll be taking place.
What are the dates for that?
They will be up through, I think, for sure the end of May, and Shelley and I are hoping to get the exhibit installed tomorrow, so, yeah, that's our plan, our hope. Sometimes things go wrong. We'd like to see that.
Do we need to worry about price or insurance on stuff like that? How much is this?
They are, nope, it's all taken care of. We're not financially responsible. So, yeah, it is a connection through Shelley's family, and we're all good.
Okay.
And I guess that's it.
I'm wondering, we haven't been getting our Friday
You're right,
updates
you
in
have
a
not.
long time. Is there a
Yep.
problem there that
Well,
I mean, it leaves us totally in the dark from month to month.
It was brought to my, it was the last time we wanted to talk about the Friday reports. It was asked that, it would be in response to questions that came up at board meetings and how they were being resolved. There have not been very many of those for me, as you guys have been dealing with pretty big ticket items like the Washington County arrangement.
Well, I guess my point is, did we just decide we don't want
I
Friday
will,
reports?
when
I thought we did.
I try, yeah, so I will, when there's something pertinent, I send it all.
Wasn't it us that made the decision that we want you to send out a Friday report? Even if it says
Maybe Julie
nothing
can
has
clarify
happened in
too.
the library the last week, then we know nothing's happened.
Okay, you want that?
Well, we voted to do it
Okay.
a long time ago, and it's just
And there has been a lot going on with the county and
a
back
lot
and forth,
going on.
so it would have been nice to have
And,
been
and
updated on
and
some
I
of
am
that.
not involved in those talks.
Well, we've had people come into the library that you
Well-
have walked through the library, it'd be nice to hear about that as well.
Well, we've also
Didn't
been
get
told
that
that you're
information.
seeing
That has been
Christina on a
included
regular,
in-
that you're seeing Christina on a regular basis going over all this
So I
stuff.
think that-
So,
I think Dave hears it loud and clear. So what, let's just kind of figure out 5 different things that you could hit on, whether it's
Sure.
attendance, events that happened, anything unusual. Just
Okay.
like, I think if you kind of sent out a draft of 5 different areas and each week just talked about those, I don't think anybody's expecting more than bullet points. We don't want you to waste a lot of time on this.
Mhm.
But I think there's at least, if we looked at 5 areas that could be updated. And I think just check out how many people you're using the library,
Yeah,
and then if anything significant happens.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
And I would add to that, our May circulation so far, I know it was down in March, it's down even more in May, and I don't know what the connection, what that might be, but it's definitely,
The attendance was.
What about the fact the road's closed, so anybody coming from the south can't get here?
so then, that's certainly a factor, but also, we've been through this before, and I mean, we're kind of comparing apples to apples with construction scene,
Is this, is this compared to the time last year, or is this
Yep.
compared to last month?
Yeah, no, it's down from last month, and it is down from last May, so,
And then what,
we had for example, Julian had a very large 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten event. She had 38, Julian was at 38, parents and kids at it. And on last Friday, 34 books got checked out. So I don't know, I mean, and Friday for Storytime is typically a very busy circulation day for us, and that is tailed off. So, I don't know, I mean,
The head count, the door count, is about the same from
Yeah.
last month or the month before, maybe even a little bit up. So, January was way up, but that was because we had construction people going in and out of the
Right.
door, so.
Well, let's
I don't
talk
know.
about it a little bit, that's part of your director's report, and I think that's a valid thing to talk about. I don't think we've had actual circulation numbers decrease,
not,
since
No.
I've been on the board, so. Instead of maybe I don't know, what do we think it could be? And, I mean, it's something we should, I think, at least talk about a little bit, so.
yeah, and I think,
And you're saying it's down again, so that
Yes,
wasn't just a
I'm-
fluke, it seems like.
So, yeah, if you look at our pattern of circulation, it has, so circulation we were down slightly in February, although this wasn't a leap year and last year was, so, whatever, it's within that
One day.
margin. Yeah, it's within a one-day mark, like the difference between 1967 and 2043, I'm willing to chalk up, but then we were up in March, we were down in April, and, and again, we're down, pretty significantly in May. And, whether that's weather, whether that's road construction, whether that's the politics surrounding the library, these are all potential contributing factors. And so it's worth bringing to your attention, but, and
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Does that include ebooks?
our ebook circulation is, this number does not include ebooks. What I
Okay.
do is, at the end of the year for the annual report, I add in our ebook circulation,
Okay.
rather than, just because
Trying to
it's
do
just,
it every.
it's quite a hoop to
Mhm.
run the separate report and then merge them, and,
Mhm.
so, yeah.
But
it's,
just off the top of your head, does?
ebook circulation is about where it was.
Okay,
like,
hasn't really gone up, hasn't really
It's,
gone
I mean,
down?
we still spend a lot, ebooks are, probably our most expensive circulations that we do here at the library. I mean, ebooks are very, very expensive. They also, some of them that are priced the way a normal book would be priced also have a expiration date. We don't own them forever. There's different licensing for different ebooks. So, it's not apples to apples by any stretch of the imagination. Some of them have a 20 circulation maximum, and then they're deleted, and you have a choice, do you wanna reorder them or not? So that's definitely a factor.
Nate, we had a comment at the meeting at the city hall where somebody said that when they order an ebook, they have to wait till the end of the month to get it.
I don't know how that's.
We got, I mean, there's a lot of comments, and I'm starting to type up the minutes, and I'm sitting there like saying, I hate to write things that are just plain flagrantly wrong.
Yeah, that is.
But I don't know, I mean, I assume it's wrong.
Yeah, my understanding, I mean, and I don't know why that would be happening, if that was happening for her. But that is, you know, when I talk to Overdrive, who's our ebook vendor, that is not something that comes up as a potential, as a, hey, just so you know, if the delay time, I mean, we've taken every step to make sure that they're added as quickly as possible.
And that's quicker than a regular book, because
Right.
it's just pushing a couple of buttons on a computer, isn't it?
Correct, yeah.
That may have been an anomaly, kind of an unusual condition for
I,
normal.
you know, yeah, I mean, it could have been an anomaly, it could, yeah, I mean, it could have been any number of things. I mean, you know, we had, I mean, you know, like, there are, we had a gentleman requested an ebook, through Overdrive, and then additionally through our regular Koha, circulation software, you know, and he was, you know, and I talked to him on the phone, and he was kind of upset that he wasn't getting it, and it turned out that his book was not available as an ebook. It's, you know, I mean, like,
It doesn't exist.
that's just, I mean, it exists in print form, it's out of print, but it's, you know, I mean, that's,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, like, that, you know, that's a beating I have to take. I mean, that's just like not.
So the question is, I didn't realize we weren't getting reports of ebooks on the thing. So
Oh.
ebook is not at all in our,
In the circulation that you report that you guys receive, and our ebook circulation is about 1/10 of our overall circulation. It's a very, it's, and maybe even less than that. It's quite a, we usually, you know, yeah, it's a pretty small percentage of what we're doing. And, yeah, we're just not
Is
seeing
it hard
that
to
level.
capture or something? Is that why
It's
it's
a
not
li-
on the report?
It's just not recorded through our circulation software. I'd have to go in through Overdrive, which I'm happy to do, and I can start doing going forward. You know, if that's something you guys want, thrilled to do it, not a problem. You know, it's, you know, last year we had, I think it was something like 1,800 circulations on ebooks. You know, which again is like, you know, we circulated 29,000 items. That's not, you know, like anything. that
Well, if we're
really-
taking a beating from people who are saying things about the ebooks, sounds like we need to be on top of it.
Mhm.
I wonder if she was waiting for the book, if somebody else had it, and, you know.
Could have been.
Because there's a wait list, if
Yeah.
somebody else has the,
Yeah.
I don't know who it was.
We got his notes.
As a bit of a tangent, it's also not correct to say that our patrons can't access the other county libraries like Ramsey County and things, right?
No, they can, I mean,
They just have to get the card,
They
just
just
like,
have to get a
and
card.
get reimbursed, like it
So
was
even
for
their
Washington
ebooks?
County when we first
they're
started.
they do not have access to their ebooks.
Which is the same in
But-
Washington, but I
but
mean,
if they,
but there was a comment made, I mean, even by a library advisory board member who said, our patrons can't access the other county libraries that like, we could only do Washington, and that's not
Right.
correct.
No,
If you
no.
work in
No, but
Ramsey County,
There
you
is.
can go to that
right,
library.
Right, there is a financial barrier to entry for that, but I mean, yeah, you're right, there isn't like.
It's not a financial, that they have to pay out of pocket.
No, what I mean,
It's a choice.
well, they may have to
They
pay out
can
of
choose one
pocket,
or
They're
two.
paid-
They get reimbursed. It's
Yeah.
but they get reimbursed.
For one
But
card.
For the county, they don't have to pay out of pocket.
yeah,
And I think we got that now, so,
Did we?
Yes,
Oh, we
yeah.
did, didn't we? Okay.
Yeah.
so we don't, okay.
Now, what typical book couldn't a person, say they were in Oakdale and they saw some book and said, oh, I'd rather have this in an ebook form. If they call us up, can they get it?
as long as it's available.
as long as it's available. Additionally, you know,
Well, I mean, what can't they get from us that they can get from the county?
one thing is that, you know, and I can't speak specifically, you know, title by title, of course.
No, I'm not.
But we use it, Washington County and the other Mill-State libraries, I don't believe they use Overdrive. So, you know,
Oh.
so their service, you know, like, who they're getting stuff from is different than us And that is a relatively recent change, so
They switched to 3M?
it might have been 3M,
Or
yeah.
sold it?
Yeah, or I can't, I don't wanna, I'm not entirely certain, I just know,
Is it fair to say that the county system is also kind of struggling with the ebook thing? I think when we looked into it, and providers and the cost, it turns out it's really not very cheap. They're
it is not
kind of
cheap.
expensive. The county, that was one of the justifications I thought I heard, that the county had also curtailed this idea that you can come in from Wisconsin and buy a card and then get full service everywhere.
Right.
They were kind of saying, we're getting our ebooks overtaxed and we're having waiting periods and we're not happy about that. So we also not sure about how much money we want to just keep sinking into this, so we need to kind of start setting some parameters and hold back in terms of what we can offer. And now
Yeah.
they're changing providers, and so I mean, I feel like it's also a little bit hard for us to compare ourselves to this known thing, when this known thing is also kind of shifting in terms of what service they can provide, because they're starting to realize this is
And I
not
mean,
it's an
and, yeah,
expensive
and-
venture too. Because that's something I learned about ebooks as we got into it, was not the kind of cheap, easy out there, everyone thinks it's.
Well, I think it could be good, I mean, obviously, we don't know exactly how this is gonna turn out, but I think it'd be good to put for a future agenda, discussing the service that we use, and if there's a better one, and that we should be looking at, just starting to do that, because,
Who knows?
yeah, I mean, you know, if the county's switching because Overdrive isn't,
Doesn't offer as many books.
yep, then I think it's something we should talk
Well, and I
about.
think it's also, I think Overdrive is, what I'd heard, and I was talking to another library director about this, is that it was a cost concern, that they've gotten a lower bid from another ebook vendor. So, yeah, I mean, you know, again, I just learned this in the last month, so,
Mhm.
you know.
No, that's what I'm just saying, to
Yeah.
think
and-
our next
Yeah.
meeting isn't for another month now,
Yeah.
and we would know a lot more at that time, but to kind of keep that in the future business section or something.
How long is our contract?
It's year to year.
When is that?
It's, I mean, January to January, yeah, so.
On the circulation issue, one thing that was brought to my attention, Zeta Patron was looking for a book by Misty Copeland, was a second book that had been in our circulation and was recently pulled. Also some series of books where people had come to look for one of the other books or reread or read one that they hadn't, that are gone. And I'm wondering, it seems like the downturn in circulation somewhat coincides with the severe weeding that has gone on in the
Well, if you
library. I
want
wonder if
to
there's anything to do with that.
You know, I would say the books that we're reading, and I mean, I'm happy to share the list with anyone, they are all books that have never circulated from our library.
And some of them seem,
And
from
I
my
would-
understanding, have been recent acquisitions also.
So a lot of the books, what we've been doing is to sort of divide the work. Is I'll have a volunteer or another staff person pull titles, and then I'll review them. And if it's a book that was cataloged by the library in 2016, or, you know, and even less than 2 years into 2015, so you know what I'm saying? So, then I don't even touch it. I mean, that's not, you know.
I've actually been told that there are some that were recently acquired that have been pulled from the shelves.
I think there was one mistake that I can think of in juvenile fiction, of a book that got withdrawn that was newer than that, but, you know, again, I'm happy to share the report, you know, and the weeding that we're doing, you know, most of these are 2012s, and, you know, things 2013, 2014, and with no circulation, so.
Then do we need to look at what we're purchasing for the library? If
I
there's
would
that many
also,
that have
I'd
not
also
circulated?
share that the majority of things that were withdrawing were donations. So, you know, this is still, this is still in a time period, you know, these are still when the library is ramping up its collection.
Right.
Okay.
And a lot of things, you know, I'm not, I stand by the work, and I mean, you know, and I would say, you know, when I was doing, for example, nonfiction, Bernie, who lives and dies by nonfiction, every one of those books, I put on his desk, and I said, you know, if there's anything in here that you don't think should go, make a case, and if you asked him, I'm pretty sure he would tell you there is not one book that, that he said, don't do this, that I didn't do that. We also have some shelving, like, our children's nonfiction, it's just packed, Margot, I mean, just packed. And there was some older stuff in there, some out-of-date information. This is a natural thing in libraries, I mean,
Oh, sure.
they just, and,
I was just looking at the time frame and wondering if there was some,
I'm reading books that have never circulated. Yeah, so, I don't,
I know you're
that's,
looking at kind of clock to move on.
Yep, I think
Yeah.
I think this is it.
Last thing to mention is, I know we're struggling with the whole county thing and trying to do the best we can. And I think it is, I don't know, you had mentioned something about that, I hope that in terms of serving our public and being the public face and being professional as a library, that we are being careful not to let that negativity or any of those kind of angst or anxiousness, it's not even negativity, it's just anxiousness, spill over to patrons, because I think that can be negative to the library too.
you're absolutely right, you're absolutely right, it can. And I,
It was just a reminder to us to,
I mean, and yeah, and
All
I
of us
think,
that work together.
I think staff and volunteers alike need to be hyper aware that, like, this isn't, these are big decisions and they aren't, and also a lot of our patrons, this potentially is not gonna impact that much, one way or the other, and so, yeah, I'm very aware of that, thank you, Brett.
So I think just to summarize, pick 5 areas you think that are key indicators and start sending the same 5 indicators out every Friday.
Okay.
Financials,
So, Brett and I had a really lovely talk the other day. And, before our special meeting, I sent out, a year-end projection of financials. And then after meeting with Brett, he and I talked and just, like, there are just different factors, like, rejoining Washington County, not rejoining Washington County, will have, because of the resolution, there are things in there, and choices that we'd be making that could, impact our financials. If we no longer have to reimburse for library cards, after August 1st, or after, July 1, as is in the agreement, where that could seriously curtail how much we need to pay in for library card reimbursements, obviously, because half the year would be off the books. Additionally, there are extra savings from, if we are back in MILSA as of August 1, we wouldn't need to purchase ebooks anymore because we'd be in the county system, or we'd be at MILSA access. Also, we would not need to renew any of our databases for 2018, and that is usually an expenditure that occurs at the tail end of of the year. So, like these are savings that I want the board to be aware of that are out there, whether they're for any number of things. I mean, that gives the library some flexibility for the remainder of the year that I just think you should be aware of.
I'm wondering if we could maybe wait to really review the budget until next month, because we don't really know yet.
Well, we have to do the parking lot and the side and undo the stuff the county did in the front, so.
Undo
That's-
this.
Well, they poured a whole bunch of concrete after we spent up to $5,000 to get a nice landscaping plan for the front. And
Okay,
they pulled a stunt on me and changed the design.
okay, let's just go on.
Don't bring that one up.
thank you.
I'm pretty mad on that.
You, Steve. So, I don't know.
So parking lot's on our agenda, right?
Yeah, yeah.
get there.
All right. Vouchers, any action on this?
Again, the vouchers, this includes the architecture fees, the first month of the billboard, for a quarter of our New York Times, I think, and a fair number of ebook purchases, and then also reimbursement for Tom and paying for the community mailing.
I looked at that and I thought that was probably a pretty good deal. $2,000 for mailing for everybody, with a stamp on the thing to send it back. That was pretty good.
Okay.
I just wanted to say a big thank you to Tom and Nate and Judy and everybody else that was involved. I'm sure I forgot somebody, Steve, in getting that mailing out the door, and how fast you did it and how fast you turned it around so that we could get the public input, and that was above and beyond. And thank you, and Steve, also for your help in tabulating all of that came back. The hours you put in were amazing, so thanks to you guys.
I think it made a big difference too, for people out in the community that we don't.
Well, they certainly had an
see.
opportunity,
Yes,
so.
and they know that, I mean,
And
I
they
think
know
they,
that, so.
The motion.
I move to accept to pay the vouchers as printed.
Second?
All in favor of the motion? Say
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm sorry, Julie, was it you that seconded it, or Brett? Brett, thanks.
Okay.
And it's the number here, there's no extras, right? 8,000.
That's what it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Those are the vouchers that you have to sign.
All right, let's just, the first thing is the county agreement we negotiated, and I think that's, there needs to be discussion here, because the fact is, I know that when the county gets us to become a member, we want to be, everybody here, they won't want to become a member and that, but, the county's it's gonna be a huge heyday for the county. They're going to get an increase in the levy amount per person. They're gonna get all the new homes. They're gonna get the MELSA money that they're not getting now. So I think that the county's getting a pretty good amount of stuff in this negotiation. I think, if we saw that Christine's email, and I don't know if everybody saw it, but the amendments that we put on were rejected. So basically, we have to ground zero, look at them and see what we could do. I think everybody, my year and a half on the board, everybody's goal has been to be back in the county. My concern is the two big things, and everybody knows it is, I don't think that it's wise to our taxpayers to give the county a building if in 4 years they're gonna close it and get a building, a $400,000 building. I think we did a big negotiation, and we didn't ask the city even, that when we agreed to pay for the city to pay for the parking lot, which is kind of outside the realm of what we could really agree upon, because we had the money for it. We were gonna split it with the city, but now the city is gonna be completely responsible, and all that money is supposed to go to the county. So I think, the taxpayers in Lake Elmo are gonna be paying for the full parking lot instead of half the parking lot, because it's already set out of the library money. And my main concern is, our fiduciary duty is to make sure that the library is kept here. That's what we put up on the board. So I am more than welcome to join the library, or join the county system, but I want to know that in 4 years, they choose to close, that a library will still be here. Now, that's my main concern. Whether we give them the full amount, whatever, I worry that the taxpayers in Lake Elmo are gonna be, because technically, this library could, we would need less money for each of the taxpayers, and we'd have more money to spread it out among. So the amount per person, so technically, if somebody doesn't use the library at all, they're more served by just leaving this library here because it's gonna be decreased amount per person than if we join. Because if you don't use the library at all, and we join the county, your rate's gonna go up. So my question is just lay it out there like that, and that is where I'm going. So we'll just work our way around.
I have a really quick question, and refresh my memory if I've forgotten. Had the original agreement prior to our amendments ever been approved by Washington County? Do we know that they accepted what was
Yeah, they were the
already
ones
in
that
there?
they made the agreements with
They
them.
made the agreement?
No,
I don't
I mean,
know
I
about
No.
would
that.
correct that and
I thought that was the
say,
city
it has
that
never
did
gone
that.
to the board.
Never went to the board.
And
So
We-
county staff.
And,
But that's who's looking at it
Christina.
now still is the county's.
But we
the
they
library.
don't have
know that had
authorization
been-
to accept or not. That's what I'm
Oh.
seeing.
Yes, so
See what I
I'm
mean? It'd be like
wondering-
Christina saying, I
Yep.
accept your burden. So-
Yeah, I don't think we know whether or not, even if we hadn't made the amendments, the county would have accepted the agreement as
yes,
is.
they would have.
We think that they're
Yeah.
speaking
We don't
for
know
the
that.
county. We don't know
We
for
don't
sure, but
know
we
that.
assume that they're speaking for the county.
I,
Nate, can you clear us on this at all?
I mean, it's my understanding that
Who's Christina working with specifically? Do
She's-
they have authority to make
oh,
the agreement?
she's working with Keith Fredskowski and Molly Rourke.
And do they have the authority to make that agreement? Will what they say and agree with, the
No,
county will approve?
what this is, you know, what the email that came out, today was that as it stands now, the agreement with the amendments that the board passed last week, that the county, that Keith and Molly,
So the representatives from the county, not the
correct,
county.
won't recommend, it for acceptance by the county commissioners. That doesn't mean that, you know, that doesn't mean that they won't, that it wouldn't be accepted, it doesn't mean that it will be accepted. It just means that they won't, that they are, with the changes that were put in front, they won't recommend it be passed.
And I think
so
that's
in
something,
saying that, we don't know
Well,
that they would have accepted the
let
agreement
me-
without redlining other items as well.
let me throw out some.
No.
You know, Judy.
Because they pretty much take the recommendation first.
You gotta
We
keep
don't-
something in mind, it's
We
against,
don't know
we-
that, that's
we-
not your
That's
decision
true.
or mine.
That's true.
That is true.
Well,
because,
let's stick to
because we have the open meeting law, if we find out that the commissioners, or a majority of the commissioners, will vote to do something, they just violated the open meeting law and they can be subject to substantial
Well, I mean,
penalties.
let's
It
let's
hasn't
go,
happened.
let's go back to what our
It has
specific.
to be brought to them directly, and they can't be just talking about it in the back room
But
legally.
we're not even at that point. It's the people that are negotiating for the county, we feel are gonna be able to recommend, and that's who we're trying to work with. Technically, you're right. Technically, they could recommend to the county, and the county could still say no. Right?
They could-
Technically, we could
It's
take
just like
something.
something from our city staff going to the city council. And sometimes the staff recommendations are approved and sometimes they're not. I mean, that's how, it's the same exact system within the county.
So what I would like to do is just go around in here, make sure everybody speaks. I would like everybody to speak, going back to the original system where basically we're gonna give them 200,000, we're gonna give them the building, technically the 40 hours, it doesn't have the weekend and nights like we asked for, those are the things that we asked for. How would you feel? I mean, let's just go right around, Paul. If you went back to the original agreement with all our amendments, what are your favorite concerns? What is your,
First of all, I believe that there should be a working relationship between Lake Elmo and the county. I've always believed this. Libraries work together, that's what we do. Hennepin County works with Ramsey County, works with Carver County, should be working with Washington County. And Washington County should be working with Lake Elmo. That's the way it should be. Other people disagree with me, and so far, that's the way things are. I had two questions going into the meeting. One was, what was the $200,000 for? And we whittled it back down to $100,000 in our recommendation. We still didn't answer the question, what's it for? And I was hoping to get an answer to that. Not hearing an answer to that, I feel as if I'm being asked to approve essentially an expenditure of $200,000 of Lake Elmo taxpayers' money for something, I don't know what. And that doesn't seem to me like a good job of doing my job. So with my present lack of understanding of where's the $200,000, I would vote against the MOU as posted. Well, that was the one that was most important to me, was what's this for? The other stuff was, it felt like it was, what? They couldn't agree to be open on Saturdays, weekends and
What
Saturdays?
about getting,
Why not?
what about getting the books and the tables and stuff back if they
Well,
close the library?
Yeah, that sort of stuff, why
And the
is that?
building.
Yeah, why is,
So we can start another library if they close it
Well,
in 4 years.
exactly, and I really don't want to write an agreement of what we're gonna do when the agreement fails. I wanna have an agreement that works going forward. And concentrating on what we're gonna do when it all falls apart seems to me to be a less than useful expenditure of our effort. So, that's where I'm at. Right now, reluctantly, no.
Well, I guess my position would be to accept the agreement. And I 100% agree with you that as a library, we need to work together. This is a community resource, and that's for all communities, not just ours.
Right.
And so we need to work with our neighbors, and I think that's very important. With the $200,000, I feel like Christina answered that question, that it's gonna be used for the HVAC system to move it, to deal with moisture in the basement, and to, from my understanding, basically to switch the library over to Washington County Library, like recatalog all the books and bring them to their system. So it doesn't seem unreasonable to me.
Well, and here I don't have the details, but the things you just listed off, I think are about $35,000, and there's a big chunk missing, and there's no dollar amount on any of those things. And admittedly, things like switching the collection over from city to county is, how do you put a number on it? Well, there are ways of putting numbers on it, but to just say 200,000, what? Did you just pull the number out of the air? I don't know.
I mean, let's just keep making sure that everybody gets,
Yeah, I'm
instead,
sorry.
we don't need to, we'll just
Thank you.
each give our response and go around. Thank you.
Yeah, for me, I think that, in order for me to have approved it and voted for it, the amendments were at a minimum necessary, where we got to. I still had some reservations with it, but felt it was a compromise at that point, and was able to, raise my hand. If I would have, I could have made motions for 3 other amendments that I felt that we should have in there, and better compromise from the county that we should have. I agree that they're getting a lot for us to join, and this did not feel in any way like a negotiation. It felt like the county telling Christina what they wanted and her writing it down and bringing it to the library board. So I was very proud of the library board for adhering to our duty as a board and our duty to protect this library, and including some things that are definitely in the Elmo Library's best interest and not just in the county's interest. And so I agree 100% when Paul says I think we should work together. This should be an agreement that represents wanting to work together on both sides. And that the amendments we passed, I think, were essential to that. And it concerns me that things like agreeing to be open some weeknights and weekends is something they're not willing to accept, and makes me even more glad that we put that in there, because that's a pretty scary proposition if a county library system isn't willing to just say, yeah, that's easy, of course we would be open some weeknights and weekend hours. We didn't even put a minimum in there. And so I would definitely not accept the agreement as was, and with the amendments that we passed, I felt like we got to a place that we needed to be, so.
I think to me, one of the concerns was, you know, what's happens after this 4 years, so I was glad that the commissioner was there and was able to speak up, and I think reassured me on that front, at least that in public, you know, making sure that statement is there, that they support a downtown Lake Elmo library, because we were hearing different things before this, so that was nice to see that. So I do think we've got a lot of good things, we've come a long ways. I think the amendments we asked for were very reasonable. I mean, I can see some of their points. I think a couple of the ones they had were, you know, the hours and trying to be consistent. I mean, I guess, Nate, do you happen to know, I mean, some of the libraries they compare us to, like Oakdale, they have evening and weekend hours, or?
Yeah. I don't
They
know.
do.
They have 45 hours a week, they're gonna start us off at 40.
But they have some weekends, some evenings.
So I mean, maybe I think I can kind of see their sense reading through the email, that they're like, you know, we don't necessarily want to feel like you're kind of trying to micromanage our dealings with it. So I feel like there's a couple of them I think we could still tweak and be more in the spirit of what they wanted. What was the other one he had in there about, turning back, he even said, well, I think in the email was like, well, if Lake Elmo wants to get back what they turned over to us, that almost seemed reasonable to him, and I think that's in the spirit of what we were talking about. I mean, sure, it might be easier to just turn over whatever new stuff they bought in the meantime, but if that's to them agreeable, then I think we could tweak that amendment and say, okay, this is, just give us back where we started from, so if we have to start over again, at least we're not, you know, looking at ground zero, we've got that. So I thought we were very close, and I thought the amendments we did were reasonable. I don't see supporting it without those kind of tweaks to the agreement, and it does make me a little nervous that the county is, you know, still like, you know, here's the terms and walk away. So it feels like a
Partnership.
partnership back and forth.
Barry?
As you can guess, when we got the email today saying the county wouldn't accept those amendments, I wasn't surprised or shocked by that. I kind of would have guessed that. I thought that our staff and the county staff had worked together to come up with something agreeable to either side, both sides. And by trying to change it, kind of voided that whole document. It isn't the same as what they've been negotiating, you know, when we start making changes to it. I keep going back to the survey results here, which overwhelmingly said that people thought it was important to become part of Washington County Library. And a lot of them, and they're willing to spend the money on it. The library here, within these four walls, doesn't belong to me, it doesn't belong to the 9 of us, it doesn't belong to everybody in this room. It belongs to all the residents, all the taxpayers of Lake Elmo who finance this building. So no matter what I personally think, I have to keep in mind that I'm representing 8,800 people, or however many are here. We could have library board meetings with 8,800 people, but they wouldn't fit in the room, so that's why we end up with 9 of us. That's much easier. So the 9 of us have to figure out what to do that's best for 8,800 other people, which is tough. But I see the agreement as it was negotiated between our staff and their staff as being pretty good. I don't have any problem with the 200,000. I think that, like Paul said, we all have to work together. And to work together, there has to be trust between us and the county. And maybe we have to take the lead in that and say, yeah, we trust that you're gonna pick reasonable hours. You run libraries all over the county, you understand what hours libraries need to be open, and we probably shouldn't try and micromanage what they feel is their wheelhouse of running libraries. We should probably trust them and say, you know what, you guys have been running libraries in cities for many years now, you probably can pick some hours that'll work out. I'm sure they don't want the library here to fail, and we need to show them that we don't want the library to fail. We need to support them and trust them, and if that means giving them a couple $100,000 in a one-time shot to help them change over and do everything they want to do to the building, and it looks like we would have the money if we didn't go hog wild with spending the rest this year, then so be it.
Thanks.
Okay, I agree with you.
Thank you.
And I remembered when you said, we're invalidating this agreement if we
Well, that's how
try
how
to change it. I
felt,
remember
yeah.
you said that. And I emailed, I also want to say Katrina. Christina, and I don't know why I did. And I think there's another entity here that we have to take into consideration, and that's the city council. And we were trying to figure out if they had the ability to change the agreement before it went there, or what.
No.
But, wait a minute. But this is what Christina said. I think it would be best if the library board could agree to what the county staff and I have negotiated, with the only changes being those outlined by Keith in his email, and then I've got, so some of our suggestions were kind of, he offered some other language anyway. I won't recommend the council strike the amendments if the library goes forward in another direction. Rather, we might have to look at just turning the levy back to the county with no guarantees from them if the library board can't accept the terms negotiated. I'm sure that's not a surprise since Tom mentioned it at the April meeting, so I hope folks will recognize that we got the best deal we could to keep a local branch in Lake Elmo and get regional access.
That's a threat.
Mm-hmm, it is. Of course it is. It's a reality. It's a reality.
Is it a reality or is it a threat? They're not the same thing. I think
Well,
Well,
wait,
it's a reality that
let's-
they can do it,
Judy, are you done?
pretty much.
Okay.
I can go back and do the things that were suggested from Mr. Ruskowski, but,
Yeah,
But I guess I just
what
need
are-
to see.
What are they?
Yeah.
Is there something new that we don't know about?
Not really.
No.
no,
Okay.
okay.
Okay, just brief statement.
I would like to remind everyone in the room that up until 1 month ago, we were 100% excluded from any and all negotiations with the merger of the Washington County Library. 1 month ago, prior to this board meeting, a few days prior to, we had this information dropped on us that someone discovered that we are the ones that have to agree to this merger. That being said, we were then given the negotiations that someone had put together without any of us being privy to that. And when we tried to make an amendment to that, which I thought was extremely reasonable, I don't know why we would enrich the county by giving them a building. I don't know why we would enrich the county by giving them excess funds. I don't know why we wouldn't expect to get back the building and contents. I think that every amendment that we made was completely reasonable. When the commissioner, when I mentioned a 4-year expiration date on the library, the commissioner stood at the podium and said he liked our little library, that he thought that this library would go forward and in perpetuity we would have a library here in Lake Elmo. Yet no one's willing to agree to clauses that would be moot if we had a library going forward in Lake Elmo. So what they're saying by turning down our amendments is that our library has a 4-year expiration date. If not, why would they turn down our amendments? They would be moot.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks. Couple of comments. Emily mentioned the moisture in the basement. Well, we just had a multi-million-dollar project that hopefully I didn't pay for, but the residents around here did, and that should eliminate the moisture when we get the rest of the work done to seal off that side of the building. We've got, I believe, 2 catch basins over there to catch the water. We've got the roof water going straight into the pipe now. I don't believe there was a moisture issue this year.
Steve, let's kind of look at just the proposal and as
Okay,
far as your
and-
statement on it.
And I disagree also with Barry that we are the negotiators. Margot said we were excluded, and yet the code, the law says, which is here, we are. I think that right now, we've been paying bonds for building county buildings for the last 4 years as an independent library. Why aren't the other taxpayers paying bonds for this building? They want us to pay for them, they want Marine Marine is having to pay for its building, Newport is having to pay for its building, on top of all the county taxes. They're not even remotely being fair. And now that we realize where they're coming from, namely, they worked out something without any of us, who were the people responsible, and we were excluded from this sentence. And to me, it is exactly, from the very first day this library started, and Judy, you and I were here, and Paul, when that started, the first thing we said was, we want to become an affiliate library so we can cut down our costs to our residents and get fuller access. The public library board may continue to control the library fund, which we have now, and pay part of it to the regional public library system to be used to increase or improve public library services in the city. We have been told we couldn't do it for 4 years. Now we find out, because of this rapid fire agreement being thrown down our throats, that we can do it, and they've refused to do it illegally by state statute. And I'm saying,
It's a may, not will.
we may do it. We have
may
been,
ask for
they may-
it.
we
they-
tried
They
it.
may say no.
Didn't say that. Didn't say that. We may, no, they have an obligation to respond. If they can show that it won't cost them more money,
No, they have no obligation to.
No, they don't.
you know that.
Yeah.
Do we know that?
Yeah.
Is it in the law?
Yeah.
What is it, I'm reading, well, the law says that we may, at our option,
Right.
pay part of our levy to a
Right.
regional public library fund. We may send them money
Right.
to improve our public services.
We may.
We may do it.
They have to agree to it.
It doesn't say that.
Well,
No, it doesn't.
We need an attorney.
Okay,
We
well,
don't-
let's,
We need
let's
All I'm
try to
saying
one-
is,
Thank
we
you.
need to start having the law work for the residents of Lake Elmo and not work for
This
the
is
county.
subject to interpretation, we need an attorney to put a period at the end of the sentence.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Nate wanted to speak, and then I think we should talk about what our options are. We don't want to spend, I'm not gonna sit here all night again.
Were you gonna speak?
No, well, I did, I thought
You
I
started.
introduced it.
I just wanna, just a couple of quick things, and, Julie, whether it's a threat or a statement, I'm taking it seriously, and it makes me nervous. And the other thing, we talk a lot about, numbers and Barry asked me a really good question a while ago. He asked me, how many active library card holders we had. And it took me a little bit of work, and I got him a number, and I emailed it to him. And then I started to think about it afterwards, and then I thought, well, how many of those people live in the 55042 area code, or zip code? And the answer is, it's 854. Out of the 8,800 people who live in Lake Elmo, we're talking about 854 active card holders in Lake Elmo. And
What are the other zip codes?
there's a lot in Stillwater, there's some Woodbury, there's,
Just keep,
yes, yeah, but it's a smattering. I mean, the bulk are here in Lake Elmo, but, and so, I just,
so were you suggesting we just close the whole library down and?
no, what I'm saying,
It sounds like you're saying.
not at all. What I'm
We shouldn't
saying
even have a
is,
library here.
I 100% believe in this library, and I think it is a strong resource, but I also think that I would urge you to think about the people who additionally who aren't using our library. And I think the numbers bear out, from a survey that, that.
But the survey also says they want a library here.
They do, and they
So,
should have it.
so I mean, as far
And
as,
that's here.
our
They can get
duties are to negotiate both.
Tom,
but-
the
so
survey
wait,
said that 8,400 people didn't care.
so let's.
They did
How
not
many
respond in
library cards
any
do we
way
pay
at
for
Can we
all.
stop for a second?
people from
Let's-
Lake Elmo?
let's-
okay,
Before
one at a
we-
time.
Before we just start shouting, let's
I'm not
shout.
shouting.
Yeah, you were.
I was
But
gonna
anyhow,
say-
so here we go. This is let's just look at our duties. We could either A, not vote on it, which would have Christina take our amended thing to the county, and the city would vote on it, the county would vote it. That's one of the options, is we don't do anything on it, because we've already voted on this, and we voted with the amendments, and we just tell her, take this to them and actually give us something back rather than saying nothing. That's an option. One of the options is we could put up for a vote without amendments and decide that. The other option is we could say we want somebody from our board to be in the negotiation if we're gonna negotiate. So those are the, three options is, one is do nothing, and what would happen is Christine could go take this to the county, and not just the county, people that are speaking for the county, but actually to the city council and the county to go forward. That's one of the options if we do nothing. The other option, like I said, is if we vote on it without amendments, I worry what the vote is gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be the way to help us facilitate getting back into the county. So, and then the third is ignore the vote on this specific thing and just have one person from working into the county. So I don't know, I'm not making a motion for any of those, but I'm just telling you those are kind of, does anybody see any other option out there besides those three? There's no reason to.
Well, why can't we at least consider following up on what I interpret the state law to say? We've never even
Steve,
tried.
let me throw this specific one back to you. I talked to Jennifer Nelson,
Yeah.
the state librarian, and that she said that they can deny us into Nelson.
Oh, I didn't hear that. I didn't know that.
So that is their option to stop us from being a part. But if you want to go forward.
No,
and
I
ask
didn't know
somebody-
that Jennifer Nelson had already told us that this law doesn't apply to Lake Elmo.
She said it does apply, but it doesn't say that they have to agree to it. It says we may do this, but it doesn't say they have to do it. So that's the back part of it. So,
Why
I would
would
like
they?
just
They're
to-
trying to work with all of us for the better
because they want us
Better
as a
life,
whole,
are they
they
trying to
don't want us
improve
as
our library
part.
services or not?
Let's go back to this.
Okay.
The three, and if there's more. So we have Judy and then Julie.
Okay. One other option would be to use some of the language from Keith Wiskoski that addresses the amendments that we made. So, I don't know if you want me to go through that, or?
Quickly say, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the first one, he says, instead of adding language stating including some weeknight and weekend hours, I think we should note that operational decisions will remain with the county, and we will treat Lake Elmo's hours in a fashion similar to the Oakdale, Montemita, and Valley branches. So it's kind of what you're saying, that it's kind of up to them, it's operational.
So what are they, how are they giving us a little bit of a tip toward us on that? To me,
They're
that
saying
sounds, that's a total rejection, isn't it?
No, it's like they're gonna treat us like the other libraries.
Who have night work and hours.
Well, we would
Yeah.
assume that.
Okay, yeah, so I thought that was reasonable. And
What
then,
library is it that they mentioned that was only open 24 hours and it's never open?
Down there, the
Yeah,
Lakeland.
Valley
Lakeland.
Branch.
So that's not
Or
one
the-
of those.
So, obviously,
That concerned me when I heard
As we
that.
go through
I
these-
thought, oh, there's like Elmo again.
as we go through these,
Oh, yeah.
to keep in mind that 4 years ago, they cut hours, circulation
That's true.
disappeared. So in their best interest, those are the
But this
things
is
that
a
they did.
different group
Yeah.
of people.
They had our
So-
hours from 10 to 2 one day,
Okay, Steve,
Okay,
2 to
Steve,
6 the next,
I
then
know
10
that, I
to 2,
was
then
here.
2 to 6.
Steve, we were all here.
all right.
The language, if the county closes the Lake Elmo Branch Library, the city receives the building, land, and contents by quick claim deed, is not something that staff could recommend. We are excited by the possibility of incorporating the Lake Elmo Library in Washington County Library, however, we cannot agree to the proposed language. While it is challenging to consider the potential operationalization of this concept years down the line, it seems more appropriate to state that the contents of the library, identified as those items in existence at the time the Lake Elmo Library rejoins Washington County Library, would be returned to Lake Elmo should Washington County Library decide no longer to operate the Lake Elmo Library.
Well, the hard part they don't understand is the new things that are coming in, we're buying. I mean, in theory, it's our tax money still that would be buying the new things, but what is the
But that's-
negotiation on the building?
He just says the
Just the contents,
contents.
okay?
and this is what he says, I cannot recommend language that would turn over future county investments in the Lake Elmo Library. This practice would not be consistent with the practices in place when other city libraries have joined Washington County Library.
Okay.
Okay. So that's an alternative that we could put in there that would somewhat mitigate something. Okay, so the language, volunteers will be given meaningful volunteer involvement in the library is open to interpretation. Instead of debating the definition of meaningful, I would suggest that volunteers at the Lake Elmo Library will engage in activities similar to those occurring at other Washington County libraries. Instead of trying to list all opportunities, I would direct you back to our volunteer handbook and note that volunteers cannot be used to displace employee work, and volunteers will not have access to private patron data. And that, their handbook, I think you may remember I said, is basically our handbook. We took everything from there. Okay, so I didn't see any problem with that. The targeted number from 200,000 to 150,000, and now it is at 100,000, with a number of items necessary to make the transition and begin to address facility concerns. The reduction in funds will impact our ability to provide the best possible transition. Additionally, while I recognize that the Lake Elmo Library Board has the authority to expend funds until the official date of transition, I am concerned that some of the potential plans to expend existing funds may not align with and support the transition. And there, it sounds like they were okay with the 150, which we had discussed. Christina had said that they would be okay with the 150.
I guess the one opening, I tend to agree, I think several of these have
Yeah.
openings, I think with some tweaks, we ought
Yeah.
to be very close. I still think the dollar amount is a bigger hang up, but I think if what they're concerned about is, we started talking about blowing out a bunch of stuff and doing a bunch of remodeling, just to be in the middle of that and then hand it back to them, and they
Yeah.
might consider that not the best use of resources, I tend to agree with them, and I tend to,
Yep.
if we need to add something to say, we'll not make any changes to the building at this juncture as part of this agreement, if that gives them the assurance, then I think I would be willing to do that. So it could be more than 100,000 at the end, but in the meantime, we wanna finish up projects and don't wanna kind of have our hands tied, so we kind of felt like they were sort of pushing the envelope, kind of trying to.
I think if the goal was to just, they didn't want us to do big changes on the inside of the building and spend money on it, that's fine. If they were just trying to stop us from doing that, then I don't think we're gonna be going out and buying cars or computers, and we're not wasting money to spend down the money, but they were trying to stop us from spending purposely on interior stuff, which I'm fine with. I agree with them. If we're handing the building over, I
They
don't
have
think we
their
should
own
be doing.
ideas, they have
Yeah, I don't think we should be doing major, but I think that's something if we negotiate with them, we had a person talk to them and to say, is this what you meant with that? And then we could.
Why not give them the money that we would have spent on those
That's what
things?
we
You know,
would.
we've got that money sitting there, if we hang on to it, just give it to them, we trust
part
you,
of it
go
is-
ahead and do what you
Part
gotta
of it is
do
this a
with
little, Barry, is when, part of that money that we saved was for half the parking lot.
Yep.
And now we're gonna tell the city they have to pay for it all. And so we're
Oh.
taking city money twice to pay for the parking lot. Because the city, we had already saved money to pay for half the parking lot. And now we're giving it all to the county, but now the city's fully responsible for that. So that's part of where I'm thinking, like,
You're kind of double dipping.
we're screwing the Lake Elmo taxpayers twice by having them pay. They had
For two
already
parking
paid for half the parking lot, because we have the money to pay for half the parking lot. And now they're paying for the full parking lot again. So that's,
But the money we don't spend would still get spent on the library,
well,
no matter what it's for, so.
that's why I don't mind passing it off to them.
So that's what I'm thinking, if we give it to them and they spend it on the library.
But the asking them to just be clear and say, we don't want you to spend it on this because we don't want you to do these improvements. Okay, we won't, and we'll just make sure you have the money, that's fine. I think what, their intent was to stop us from doing those improvements that they weren't gonna like, that's fine. I agree with them, but that's what we can do. But just state it that way. But I'm concerned about the parking lot and, You know, so all winter, this sits as a mud pit by the side of us, and we don't spend any money on that. You know, we don't landscape or do anything on the side of the building for over a year.
And then they're not gonna do it right away, and so then it's gonna be another,
Well, you know,
So
I
you
kind
feel
of,
Spend
like-
money on plans for the side of the
So I
building.
do feel like we've got-
Budget.
Wait, all right, let's try to do this. We'll do one quickly, and because I don't think anybody wants to be in a beautiful light this long. So, very quick summary, and then we'll just work back way around.
I wonder, like, speaking of the north side of the building and the parking lot, is that even our responsibility anyhow? I mean, we've been given that responsibility, but really this board, I believe, should be in charge of what's within the four walls of this building and not worrying about what's
Well, I
out
think
there
we're in
and
charge
what's
of all
out
the
there.
land.
we're in charge of
It's-
our
We own the
It's the whole
land, it's our
property.
legal responsibility.
It's
And
all
we've already
property.
approved
It's,
that.
it's the cities.
No.
If you look
City
on
has
Washington
no
County
tr-
GIS,
No,
that parking lot
That
is
ship
under the
has
city of
sailed.
Lake Elmo.
absolutely
This
not,
board has
Barry.
already
Well,
approved that
it's-
project,
just
it's
to-
gone to the city
Let's
council.
wait 1 second. But no, it is our responsibility. Just
I understand.
But it
Okay.
belongs to the city.
So
Yeah.
No,
technically,
they
it sounds
have
like
a
we
title, but no ability to
Steve.
make any.
We're working our way around. I'll put your hand up. All right.
I think to that point, I mean, I think technically, the city took ownership of it when it was bought by the library with library funds. So all the monies that were spent on this need to be spent and kept in library fund use. So we have been using it, including the parking lot. So anytime the county builds a library, they have to have a parking lot. We've talked about having little outside gathering areas out here as part of it, reading areas and things like that. So I mean, to me, I think it is fair to say this is all part of the facilities of the parking lot, or the library, parking lot and everything, just like if the county had to do their own library building. So I think that's fair. So I think, what I'm asked Nate to do is kind of look at the dollars, because yeah, I sensed we're halfway through a project to about ready to finish it up, and was this gonna leave us hanging at the end and be short, and that just seemed kind of silly, so I feel like, 100,000 is a much better position. So I think the quick numbers that Nate ran, it looked like, yeah, we should be able to cover our costs, and then whatever's left, we can turn back to the county at the end. But I'd rather, that seems more fiscally sound to do it than to kind of overcommit to the county and then come in and then trying to finish the project, and then oops, we're under, and now all of a sudden we're kind of caught looking like we did not manage our finances. I think it'd be better to finish up that project, say we're not gonna do anything more to the building, and then say, okay, here's what was left, and yeah, you get that. I think at least 100, and it could be more.
Okay, Julie, then Steve.
So yeah, a couple things that were said, regarding the statement, the threat, whatever you wanna call it, the reality. I'm not so sure. I mean, we sat here and we heard Christina answer Emily's question completely, inaccurately when you look up the statutes, and what this board has the authority to do and what we don't, and that concerns me. Concerns me that our negotiation representative is, saying things like that, so.
Like what? I'm not following. What did she say?
Emily asked, so if this board votes this down, can the council accept it anyways? And Christina said, yes, they can, and we had done our research and had the statute that says no, that is absolutely not true. There are Minnesota state statutes that guide this exact
Oh,
thing.
I see what you're saying.
And so
The library board is supposed to come from the
it
library
has
board
to, not
Yes.
to the
as a
council.
recommendation first.
But,
and
but
But you're-
if,
initiates
but
the
if they
process.
don't, if we don't send
Let's
it
just
over
wait,
to.
let's just go. Otherwise we'll be here.
So, you mentioned having somebody from the library board, as part of the negotiations, and I think that is imperative. And I think what you're seeing here is a unfortunate situation in which a library board, the body that was supposed to be initiating this and bringing this recommendation forward, being entirely excluded from the process. And that's why you have people who were not brought along. That is why this feels like it does to a lot of the board, and why the negotiation the agreement that was put in front of us was not accepted. So I would absolutely support some sort of a motion, and would be happy to make it, that we at least have somebody from the library board included in those discussions. Because right now, I don't feel like our side of it is being represented it feels just like they come back and they say this, and then that's what gets put in front of us. It's not a negotiation right now. As far as the timeline and what to do tonight, I'm not really in favor of taking apart these and taking new amendments and changing them and bringing it forward. I feel like we voted on this. It needs to move forward as such. I think we all heard where it was impossible when I wanted to have a little more time to think about a few things and get a few more answers, that if we were to have done it tonight, it wasn't possible to bring it forward. So, you know, so be it. That's what we were told. So I think it's good discussion that we're having, but I think it'd be part of the discussion that our representative would take back as part of continuing the conversation. And so that would be, I don't wanna, I would be more than happy to make that motion, but I don't wanna stop conversation and.
So to kind of stop conversation, I just want to say we have 3 possibilities. If anybody has a 4th possibility, let me just review. Do nothing. We don't bring it up, we don't vote on it, which means the one that we voted on last week gets put through to the city and to the county. Vote on it with the new, without amendments. Or 3, say we appoint somebody to work with the county to make sure that it's done right and we have representation. So if we have none of the other option, or no other options, I think those are our options.
I'll make a motion then. I'll make a motion that we have our board chair be the authorized representative. In addition to Christina, I feel there's value in the consistency of keeping her there as well. But that the negotiations would not take place without our board chair, Tom Degree, present during those discussions.
I'll second the motion, but I'm not sure how I would write the motion regarding Christina, because she's not an employee of the library, we're not paying her work. What we could say is that Tom will represent the library board in negotiations with the county, because only he can represent us.
I'm saying it in a way that this is a process that the library board under statute is supposed to be initiating and bringing forward.
Right.
And I'm saying that this it would be a message to the county then, that the board has approved our board chair as our authorized negotiation
And that's,
representative.
that's what I.
Not Christina, in other words. It's fine with me if she continues to come along, and I'm
But
saying.
I think that shouldn't be part of the motion though, because I don't think we have the authority to get the city's council
The
involved.
motion
I think Tom
was,
can,
can Tom be involved? Board chair would be involved in negotiations with the county. That's it.
And I seconded that.
Okay. Conversations quickly before we vote. Yes.
My fear with that motion would be that we would take too much time, we would miss the deadline of July 1st, like we did last year, and turning this into a multi-year project, I feel that the county's gonna get sick of dealing with it and just say, you know what, forget it, we're done.
It's a huge amount of money more.
It's a huge amount of
They're not
money.
gonna be done.
They're gonna make a killer.
Right?
It's about 3% of their budget for this year.
No, we pay 4.6% of their budget, and we're only 3.6% of the residents. So they do real well with us, and when we add more people,
All right.
they're gonna really take a
Okay.
bundle,
Right.
which we wouldn't ever use here, because we wouldn't need more money.
I think this makes sense. I guess one clarification feedback I wanted from others is, given that I think, like Judy said, some of these amendments could be tweaked, I think we would be happy and they would be happy. I would hope that that would be the kind of message that you would take forward. I see nodding heads. We are open to tweaking it as part of this, having at the table. Should make sense.
that's what a negotiation is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, I don't have a problem with one of those being represented at the negotiations, but I think, along with Barry, I think that our duty is to serve the best needs of our community as the library. The library is for the community, and if they obviously have voted that they want us to go back to the county, I think it's our responsibility to do everything in our power to go back into the county, and I think we're going to upset a lot of residents if we push this off for another year.
Yes.
Well, my personal thing is, we also, the residents also said they wanted a library in the county, in this area. So that's-
More,
We're not trying,
yeah.
we're trying to just make sure the library stays here, we're not trying to make sure that we don't fund the library. You see, I mean, we have two pieces to our responsibility, and the
But there is a-
concern is,
But
There
there's,
is a time,
We had more than 8,000 people that didn't care one way or the other to even fill out
Steve,
a form and
Steve.
drop it in the box.
right, but we also had a good number
That
of
was not-
residents saying that they want to be part of Washington County, whether or not there's a library.
No, they
in the
wanted to
county.
have access to MELSA services.
no,
That's
that,
what they
that's
So-
want.
how it was phrased.
You're wrong.
so that is, the motion is brought forward that the board chair would be in part of negotiations, because regardless, there needs to be some negotiations, because they added some new language, right? And so we need to say, we would need to vote on that, the new language pieces, and regardless, that has to happen, so.
But I think the timing is not, I think that, I don't know.
When are these negotiations gonna take place?
Yeah, let's
I mean, the
just-
city council meeting's next week.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
We're not,
We voted
Yeah,
on
they
some.
can't do that
I'm
to us.
wondering if the board
And we're
would be
told
reasonable
it would
to,
be
We don't have to
if the
accept.
citizens such as the
Change
young
it
has been very
tonight.
involved.
Well,
and,
we're not,
you know,
that isn't,
doesn't
that's not the
We don't
motion.
want any
that.
changes from
Okay.
after tonight. Thank you.
I
That's
had
like,
discussed
I
it
didn't
with her,
say
so
that, I
she's
actually
in the-
wanted tonight.
My idea would just to be, do nothing, and I think that's the least controversial.
I think we definitely
We
need,
have a motion, could we move the motion?
and because this,
Yeah, let's do that.
this is, resolution is
You have
supposedly
to once
coming
you said it.
from the library board, I think it is extremely reasonable that we have someone from the library board represented in negotiations.
Okay, so, but also, what Paul's suggestion is gonna happen too. If we vote to have me be a part of the negotiation, they already have an approved plan that they can go forward and not
Oh,
not
sure.
include me. So Judy, your piece would already work, that they would just go forward with the proposed voted on agreement. And
So
say,
we already did.
yep, and they can say, we don't wanna include Tom,
Mhm.
we're gonna go forward with the one we have. That is,
It
That
would be
piece was-
only if they rejected that offer and there needed to be,
yep, and
Future
they already have,
negotiation.
they have one to go to the county with.
Yep.
Trying to anticipate that possible next step. and just
Exactly.
get a
Well, we won't-
Jumpstart on it.
We won't do anything, that would be the only vote tonight then. Because I guarantee if we vote to accept the language, it's not gonna
Yeah.
pass. So that's worthless. So all in favor of the proposed motion is that I would be involved with county agreement, with county negotiations as soon as possible so we can get it done before the July meeting, like hopefully within the next 2 or 3 days. There's no reason that this stuff can't happen quickly. And we could call a meeting together. We don't have to wait till the next meeting. We could call a quick meeting together if amendments are changed.
the city council can call special meetings too.
So we
And they
can,
meet every other week, so
Or every week.
because I think clearly we all hear that, well, the people that voted, still there's a significant amount of people out there that don't use the libraries at all and don't care. And haven't said anything, and they're gonna get a tax
I
hike.
think it's important for
which
this
is
to
funny,
go
but
forward and to
They're not
have an
gonna, they don't want
actual,
anything.
I think it's important to have this go forward and to have it actually
Okay,
get a
so if it goes
vote
If it
from
goes
the
forward
county
as
that
is,
they're gonna not
um,
take it.
if they want to change, I would be asking to be part of it. Somebody want to read it specifically? Do you have it, Steve?
The motion,
Yeah.
is the library board has directed the board chair to represent the library board on negotiations for becoming part of the Washington County Library System.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed?
Nay.
All abstaining? Motion passes. Let's go to the next one. Next phase of library renovations, obviously, we are not going to talk.
Well, let's talk a little bit.
No.
Just, because I was here last Friday, they had the children's program, and they asked me to help out a little bit because they had a lot of kids. And I saw them, the county, or I saw somebody doing a bunch of earthwork over there, and I was pretty sure that Brad hadn't gotten the contract signed yet. So I went and asked the guy, and he said, no, he was working for the county. And I called up Shad, what's his face?
Isaacson.
Isaacson, And I just told him, I said, you know, I just saw this, the library board has is about to go out with a contract to do all this stuff. Is there any coordination between the library board and the county as to what they're doing? And then that was the end of the conversation, and
They touched base with me, it sounds like they were pulling out the septic tanks, and now they're the cesspools or whatever they were.
Which was
using
part of our
before we had the
contract.
sewer. Right, so then they just had to restore it, and so I said, you know, I think it's gonna be torn up dirt, so I think if they just go ahead and do what they're doing and put some grass on it, that'll keep it sort of in place.
my
until
concern
the
was
project
that
finishes
nobody
up.
from the library that I was aware of knew about it. And the county shouldn't be on our property without our knowledge.
So Brett, is there, I mean, seeing you're kind of heading this up, you talk to them and just see what they're doing, and if they're, I'm assuming they're not gonna go in and put asphalt, they'll just let them know that it's not the property, just for this.
Check thing.
Yeah,
Okay,
we've
been talking about that.
Yeah,
All
we're
right.
just gonna sod it.
So you knew that they were already.
Well, they're gonna put
They
sod
told you that
on?
they're already gonna sod?
Brad and I talked about it just the other day.
Okay. All right, we'll talk about it. Service to family meetings, you wanna discuss what you said?
Yeah, so, I had, Shelley and I had some meetings with family meetings, and, we are going to have a significant presence there this year. We talked about, being there at, having staff at their summer kickoff event, and their in June, and their back-to-school event in August, and then also, one of the things we're gonna work on is a weekly courier service up there, which will be particularly helpful to residents there during the construction, so that they can pick up and drop off holds at the center without, it's one of those, it's a nice piece of outreach for us, and it'll give us a chance to hopefully improve circulation during construction. It's a nice little workaround for the closed roads and so forth.
And I'm assuming when you go down there for the kickoff presentation, you'll talk about ebooks, online, all
Of
that
course,
stuff.
yeah, we're all set, we're gonna, yeah, we
And
wanna,
if they don't see the book they want, then just request it.
correct, and, you know, we're gonna do a lot of tutorials, and, Shelley also wants to do a makerspace up there that they're excited about, and, I think we have a real chance to, have a meaningful impact going forward. We also talked about having a teen intern. While I'm more hesitant about that, given the financial uncertainty, I think, you know, if it's I hate to see, you know, a one-time teen internship, you know, of $1,000 or something that we spend, that, I think that could end up being some sidewalk or something. Then, it seems like we have enough uncertainty right now that while I was initially kind of excited about it, I just don't see that as,
Did you come up with numbers of how much it would cost to
it'd be about $1,000 for the summer.
for how many hours?
Right around 10 hours per week.
How about all the teen interns we've got now?
Yeah, this would be a family means person, that, you know,
Would
that,
some of the ones we already have be happy to enjoy doing that?
yeah, that is not what was discussed. We didn't talk about hiring, you know, one of the teens who was already volunteering.
Well, I mean, maybe they'd volunteer and not charge anything, so we wouldn't have to worry about it.
Well, Steve, you're missing the whole point. The whole point is that we can get, people that live in family means, like a summer job for some of the
Oh, a
students.
summer job
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah, so I think
Sorry.
that's what the point you're missing, is we're trying to reach out to specifically residents.
I'm good,
Um,
didn't know
And
that.
I don't think it is wrong to spend $1,000 and to say, let's get this going for $1,000 to hire one, would it be one or two,
Just one,
and how many hours a week?
about 10.
So it'd be a part-time employee, it'd be an outreach to Cimarron. I think having somebody there, you know, we have somebody who works there, here already from there, but having a youth there, that would be able to go talk to youth would probably be a smart idea.
Are you talking about having somebody on site at Cimarron?
Nope, they would come
They
here,
would come here and work, is there a job description for this person?
well, that's what we'd have to come up, we just need to approve it first, and then they do a job description in the personnel department, so, yep.
If there's a question about the financing, I'd like to bring this question to the Friends of the Library. And I think we could financially back you on it.
Okay, yeah,
So I'm not worried about if we spend 1,000, we're talking 200,000, 1,000's not gonna kill us. And I'm talking, let's do outreach now and not sit and put this off.
We've knocked out
Sounds good.
$150,000 worth of construction
All right.
projects. This is not a big deal.
Does
It's,
somebody wanna put a motion
We
for,
do though need to be mindful of the volunteer teams that are working here, and
That's a different thing, though. They're a different category, and this is to help people in Cimarron who wouldn't otherwise be able to have family support for them during the summer, so I think that's different.
and also they're bringing back the message of, hey, there's a library down there.
Move we go forward with relationship with family needs.
okay, and I can bring that up at the Friends meeting tomorrow for
Please do.
potential.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of
I
moving
need a
forward?
good motion that I can write.
That's what,
Paul is moving forward with going forward with our
cool.
Family needs.
Developing a summer internship
for Cimarron with
for
family.
Cimarron and family.
Works for me. Thank you.
But I mean,
Well done.
did you say that the Friends are likely to
No.
pay for it? Oh, okay, no, that's not part of it.
That's another issue.
Just move forward.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Looks like it passed. All right, there we go.
It's a tiny bit related, it's not Cimarron, but could you also respond to that teacher from Oakland Junior High, which got a response from the county of, sorry, there's nothing we can
Okay,
do because we
Yeah.
blank Elmo. But, and then maybe that'll kind of filter around the junior high as well, you know, as a bigger outreach, but just for the rest of the board to know. A teacher from Oakland had contacted the county wanting some additional resources and ways of partnering with the school.
I didn't know who that teacher is.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, we got
Yeah,
her name and,
The
so.
full board got emailed.
Yeah,
I
give
forwarded
us
this.
email to him.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
so that teacher, I just wanna make sure someone from here follows up, so.
All right,
You want a table library budget?
yeah, table, parking lot. Walking path, I guess I wanna talk about that quickly, is I thought, I don't really wanna, I don't want them putting grass down if we have plans for like a pathway with something. I mean, I hate having to redo, rip it down, tearing.
Nate and I talked about, this is, passing around a construction schedule, I was able to get this. We still have one last round through the city approvals, we checked the soils out here, they look good, so we're hoping the city will just quickly move us along our way. So we would probably get out mid-June, end of June to do construction, and I think just good practice of stabilizing the site. We should put something down there, they had to dig it up, have to do something, so rather than have all the dirt go down the storm sewers, sod is probably as good a thing as any, it's just kind of a temporary cover. They can put whatever kind of vegetation they want. And I think we would come in and work around that. If some of the side can stay fine, if it needs to be replaced, then we would just have to replace it. So,
We can relocate it to over there, for example, if
So
possibly, yep. pull
Is
it
this-
and move it around if we need
the
to.
construction schedule is just this side, we're not paying attention to the back. That-
Well, this would, I guess, this would do the walkway all the way out to the road and all the kind of the green landscape part. And then we can split it up if we want to try to have the parking lot be a separate piece if we think we're gonna go over budget and go back to the city and see about that. Or if it looks like it all fits in the budget, then we'd just do it all and split it with the city like we originally arranged.
I
This would be
was
both
going down the
pieces.
street a couple of days ago, and I saw how they had done the old bank building, which is what we had originally voted to do a year ago, June. And it just, if I didn't speak tonight, I would feel, I couldn't hold my head up. We have way too much concrete out there. What they have at the bank is, I think, lovely, the old bank. And there's no reason with the number of people we have coming in our front door and walking past our library to go to all the event centers down the road.
You just wanna make sure that we take a look at if we wanted to saw cut some of that out and put in some plantings, if we could do that.
Yes,
That can be, you know,
and we talked about that about February also.
Yeah, I think we had a concept of what that could look like out front.
It started out that they were gonna put a ramp in, and then they realized that what I had sent them was actually correct, and they weren't gonna, but they didn't tell me. They just ignored it and did what they wanted to do.
I think that, yeah, timing wasn't perfect, but I think that's, neither the fault of either of ours, but we can go back and take a look at it and try to.
And is there any possibility to get a curb cut that would line up with that walkway?
Yeah, I
Because
think
we have a tree
county had
that goes
acknowledged
the
that
walkway now.
potentially it would make sense to add a curb cut if we're gonna do any more work up there. Not sure why.
Yes, you're gonna bring that up?
Strollers and wheelchairs and, I mean, it just makes no sense that there's not one on a
Yeah, I
walking.
think they, and I've talked about other things, and they, at some point, they said, we're just gonna put in what we have to put in, and later there will be modifications as needed.
Oh, good.
All right,
Quick question.
sure, hit it.
When are they going to pave the parking lot?
This is, can you pass one of the schedules?
Yeah, there's
Well,
some extra schedules
Sorry,
there.
no, that was good.
So July,
If,
July?
depends upon, I mean, if we,
if the bids come out.
In the middle of the
Possibly
summer
right
baby
in
program.
all right, there's no vote on this, we've already.
We've already voted on it, yeah.
Okay, old computers to, so we have these old computers, they're not being used, have you talked with them? Did you, what did you guys talk about?
I'm getting them more information and, yeah, we'll get sorted out by the end of the week.
So Community School of Excellence is a Hmong-focused charter school in St. Paul that takes old computers, they put Lexus, different software into it, and then they give it out to families in their community that don't have computers, then help them get internet cheaply. And then they install the software, they go into houses, they show how to get them running. So we are, the action is just, we would donate these computers to Community School of Excellence, and we would not have to worry about having all computers around. Nate has already talked with them as far as what, what
They've been
they-
wiped clean of any information.
Yeah.
Well, they're gonna,
They're-
and they'll wipe them too, yeah.
And
Do we need a
had you
motion
talked
or-
with Shelley about the teen program here and
Yeah. and-
possibly keeping some for that? Was that something she was interested in?
Yeah, and because of the age of the computers, it's just not a perfect fit.
And she agreed to that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Make a motion that we
And she was the one who brought
turn
that
our old
up.
computers over to the Community
Yeah,
School of
yeah.
Excellence program.
Second.
Discussion,
Oh, who's made the motion?
Me.
Right, thank you.
no discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Motion passed. No business, future business. Nobody?
No, we just had that one item to put on for next time.
It's there.
Can't remember what it is anymore, see.
It's to find out a lot about ebook
Yeah,
providers.
different providers.
A different providers.
You know,